Hello, 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 and welcome back to Ladies Night, where you get the woman's insight. Thank you again for joining us on another lovely Saturday. You guys can see my weather's lovely out in the back. But yeah, thank you for coming back again to see what we're going to be talking about this Saturday. I am your host, First Lady Tammy, and I am joined by my lovely, lovely ladies. Hello, ladies. Yeah, so everybody, you guys can unmute yourselves to say how you're doing.
Hi. Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right away, we got WT Funk is watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. So today's topic is actually the topic that WT Funk suggested, and it is all about homeschooling. So we're gonna get right into it. Sorry, guys. We're gonna get right into it. And is online schooling or online homeschooling a better choice for kids? I really think this is a really great topic just because homeschooling is a hot topic right now as far as what parents are choosing to do, and even some teachers that are choosing to leave. So I think this is going to be a good one. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I am in the teaching field. I'm a teacher. Mrs. M3 is also a teacher. So yeah, so this is going to be interesting. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get to our first question. Our first question. What can it be? What can it be? Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. There it goes. Okay. Do we have a strong public school system in America? Very, very good question. Very, very good question. I'm going to take it around. As I usually do, I'll come in last as far as my opinion on the question. But we'll start with Kris. Do you feel that we have a strong public school system in America?
No, not really. I feel, oh, I got echo. Is it gone? Can you guys hear me okay?
I think you're lagging a little bit. Or
no.
You're not lagging, or you're, oh wait.
You good?
There you are, yep.
Okay, cool, thank you. Not really. It's not that I don't think that it's a strong public school system. I just think there's a lot of room for improvement. I do think that our public school system, unfortunately, is affected a lot by politics and the different changes that we see in government a bit too much. I wish it was a bit more stagnant. And I also wish that we had a system that included, where we made it very clear that parents have to also be involved with their children's education. I think our school system is very reliant on teachers and has a lot of pressure on teachers. And I wish that we would start schooling kids sooner, like closer to the age of 3, and taking it a bit more serious, and also making sure that parents know that they should also be doing quite a bit of work at home if they want their children to be successful later on.
Thank you, Kris. Thank you very, very much. All righty, Mrs. M3, what are your thoughts? Mrs. M3, are you there? There she is.
I apologize. I'm finally able to hear everybody. My media sound was way low on my phone. Okay. Thank you. Can you please repeat the question now that I'm all here?
Do you feel that we have a strong public school system in America?
No. And I'm a public school teacher. I love my job. I love my district. But when you look statistically at our globe, our high achieving students in the United States score average compared to the rest of the world. Our nation and what we're teaching pales in comparison to all of the counterparts. Just to say.
Interesting. Thank you, Mrs. M3. All righty, Queen, how are you doing?
I'm good.
All righty. It's nice to see you again. Go ahead and give us your thoughts on that first question. Do you think that we have a strong public school? Do you think that we have a strong public school system in America?
No, I mean, I used to think it was depending on the area that you lived in, but no, I don't think the public school is doing our kids justice.
Thank you, Queen. Thank you very much. Before I give my feedback, I'm going to read the comments that are coming in. Okay, so WT Funk says, remember all those Karens we see are many times our Black kids' teachers. We need a homeschooling community in the Black community to teach our own kids together seriously. Interesting. Thank you for tuning in. JP, the aspiring matriarch, is also tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. JP says, good evening, ladies. Glad to make a live. Hope your spirit is well. Knowledge and relationships. Did I see you in TJ's stream this morning? I wonder if they saw knowledge and relationships in TJ's stream. Gator Girl, thanks for tuning in, Gator Girl. She says, we used to and we could, but the attack on the public school is shameful. Interesting. And WT Funk says, ooh, here's bosses watching the stream, rubbing hands like Birdman. All righty. And the Atlanta Thrasher, thanks for tuning in. He says, let's go. Let's go. All righty. And WT Funk says, better be nice. You know what, WT Funk, you can give your opinion, absolutely. Even if it's one we may not necessarily agree with, it's absolutely perfectly fine to give your opinion. That's why it's amazing, because it's your opinion. So, and knowledge relationships, they say, hey, chat better come prepared with the likes. Yikes, y'all are awesome.
They came prepared. Already liked up.
Oh, yes, they did come in prepared. See, I'm getting my words all mixed up. All righty. So as far as the question, I do not think we have a strong school system, and I work in special education, so I don't necessarily get to interact with the general ed students. But even knowing that, I know, I mean, I wasn't born in the U.S. I was actually born overseas. But even then, when I came to the U.S., I was considered gifted and talented. But the longer I was here, that gifted and talented slowly went down, where I wasn't gifted and talented no more. So, and you hear so much about all these different countries around the world that are doing so much better as far as education than we are out here. So there's obviously somewhere where we're missing the mark, and we need to figure out what that is. So, yeah, I definitely don't think we have a strong public school system for so many reasons. So, all righty. So thank you, ladies. We're going to move on to question number 2. Question number 2 is.
You gotta wiggle your fingers, Tammy. It's not coming.
Oh, that's right. Let me wiggle them to draw it out. There, see, yeah, see. I guess it takes the wiggling of the fingers to make it come to life. All righty. So it says, ladies, prior to 2020 shelter in place, had you ever heard of homeschooling? And did you know one or more families who were homeschooling their children? All righty. Mrs. M3, we're going to start with you, go to Queen, and then go to Kris. All right. So Mrs. M3, what is your feedback?
So I did hear of homeschooling prior to 2020, and for the very first time that I was ever introduced to it, probably when I was homeless, because my mom and her friends, like, they would just like kind of rotate, and we would kind of couch surf, I guess, when we were not with my uncle, and my mom was still establishing herself here in California. And one of her friends homeschooled all three of her children. One was in, like, I think, fourth grade, along with me. I was 10. The other one was, I think, junior high, or at that time junior high, now called middle school. And then her son was graduating high school, but she taught all of them, all the levels. And that was my first glimpse of it. I was 10 years old. Then fast forward, because I didn't do homeschool myself. I was public school student, and the only reason for homeschool was because we lived far from my school at that time. But I'd say every so often, friends of mine, I'm homeschooling my child, and to today, there's my niece homeschools her kids. She has 4. My besties, both of them homeschool their kids, and one of them is like a director of a homeschool, and they have their community, they have their everything set up, and it's working for the most part for them. I mean, talk about gifted and talented. Like, they get to do stuff that kids, in a public school only get to do in the summer, but that's my very slight brush with it. And then there's another family I know that homeschooled their children, but it was kind of off and on for various reasons. But most of their education, I think, was homeschooling. And I don't know much about that, but it was maybe 4 or 5 times in my lifetime that I've understood behind the scenes of homeschooling. So yeah.
All righty. Thank you, Mrs. M3. Okay, so comments. I'm going to read these before I get to Queen. So Gator Girl says, I'd heard of it. Most of the families I was aware of who did so for religious purposes. And WT Funk says, it always had perfect sense to homeschool. Kids get ruined by being around badass kids who bully and plant seeds of idiot stuff. Interesting thoughts. So yeah, interesting thoughts. I'll give my feedback on those interesting thoughts after everybody goes. Yeah, so but I love it. Keep it coming for sure. Alrighty, Queen. So before 2020, did you know about homeschooling? Did you know anybody that was choosing to homeschool their kids?
Yeah, I mean, I knew about homeschooling, and a really good friend of mine, I would help her out in the house sometimes or babysit, and she was homeschooling her twins, and she had a really big homeschool community where sometimes I would help her to drop them off at like Michael's or Joanne's, because there was like a project that they were doing. So I did see they're very, very, very smart kids. They're in private school now, but they're very smart because she was a great teacher and very adamant about being involved, but she was also fortunate to be able to stay at home with them. So I think a lot of families, they're not able to do that. Both people have to work. But it was a good one. I mean, one of the kids I can say is a little more reserved and I won't say awkward, but quiet and shyer than the other kid. The other kid's very outgoing, very vocal, very like in your face. So I could see the difference even with them. Like they were both given the same situation, but one is little more pulled back and reserved versus the other one. So I didn't think it's all depends, but I think I saw the benefits of it with them
Mhm.
because they're very intelligent.
Okay, nice. Alrighty, Kris, what are your thoughts? Did you know about homeschooling? Do you know anybody that did do homeschooling with their kids?
Yeah, so I do know about homeschooling. I know my sister was homeschooled. I think later on in high school she was homeschooled, or she was in a school that was like she would spend a couple of days there, and then it was, I can't explain it, but like the structure was like a few days on, a few days off type of thing. So she'd go in for maybe Monday, Wednesday, but she was home Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So most of the
Independent
work
study?
she was, yes, yeah, I think what it would be. And then growing up, I had few friends who would be homeschooled, but they were typically homeschooled because they were being bullied. And so their parents would pull them out and they would homeschool them for a couple of years and then put them back in. But outside of that, no. I didn't know too many people who were homeschooled starting from a young age. And then throughout their academic career before college. I wish I did. I wish I've known more people, just so I can see firsthand how successful it is. Because I agree with all of you saying that the public school system isn't strong. And so I wish I knew a few more people just so I could have like firsthand proof that homeschooling is a good, viable option for many families. You're on mute, Miss Tammy.
Okay, yeah, I knew that. No, I didn't really. But I love it when I'm talking and think that I'm not muted, and then I'm just talking. Thank you, Kris. I appreciate that because I would have been going and going and going. Okay, so before I get to my comment, I just want to go back to WT Funk's comment where he says F them kids unless they belong to you. And some parents would even say that even if they do belong to them. And then he says these teens are for the streets. That is an opinion. So yeah, and there was another comment that he had before that I thought was interesting. As far as when he said that the Karens are sometimes our kids' teachers. I think that that's the case some of the time. So this is what's interesting, and I know I tend to talk for a long time, so I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. But I worked for a charter school that was majority. I'd say over 90% of the students were Black. Over 50% of the staff were Black, and it was a college prep. Every school was college prep, even the elementary, and you had parents bring their kids in and their kids were off the hook. And even though their teacher was Black, their kids were off the hook. And so it's funny because I'd even see teachers that would come in and their mindset would be, okay, these kids have a teacher that looks like them. So, it's going to be a little different. And sometimes it just wasn't. I mean, the reality is kids ain't got no home training. They ain't going to have no home training when they're outside the house if they ain't got it in the house. So, but I think that sometimes the parents would bring their kids because they're in their mind. They would say, well, my child doesn't listen. My child acts like that. My child doesn't listen because the teacher is not Black. And the teacher doesn't understand what it's like to teach my child because they're not Black. But you need to really know that that's the reason why, or be honest about your child. If your child doesn't listen, if your child's off the hook, don't just be blaming the teacher because your child don't want to listen. Because that may not be, it might have nothing to do with the fact that the teacher is white. It could be the fact that your child need the leather belt, just saying. So, they might need, something to get them in check. And some parents are afraid to do that to their kids. So I do believe there are some Karens in the class. That's why you hear about it all the time. I don't necessarily think that, I do think that it's best for a parent to be honest about the child that they have, rather than trying to blame a teacher for why your child is not being successful. Because I do think that can tend to happen. But we have Queen Dom who has joined our live. Queen Dom, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm getting ready for a date night, so I'm washing my hair and stuff.
Oh, nice. Well, good for you. Okay. Well, we're glad that you chose to join the ladies' night, even though you're going on a date night. So thank you for coming in for however long you're able to be here. So, so yeah, but in response to the question, yes, before 2020, I knew about homeschooling. I work in the public school system, so I'm very familiar with it. I know that there's some parents that were saying they were going to homeschool their kids because their kids are off the hook. And that's not the reason why you should homeschool your kids. Like, it shouldn't be because your kid's off the hook. It should be because that's truly going to be beneficial for your child. And it's a possibility that they could be off the hook because of the students or teachers they're interacting with. But once again, you got to be honest about the kind of child that you have. If your child don't listen at home, he ain't going to listen when he's at school. And WT Funk says, moms ain't never honest about their kids. It says, bring back, hold on, if we can go back to that one. There we go. Bring back the paddle for teachers, SWAT's work. You know what? I'm always wondering, like in the Catholic school, how they used to hit the kids with a ruler. You know, I can't do that. But, you know, you always wonder how effective that was with those kids. But the way these kids are now, you know, yeah. I mean, I had to have a discussion with some of the kids the other day about bullying and trying to help them understand how serious it can be. And we got into the whole talk about school shootings, and that, you know, a lot of these kids that do school shootings, they've gotten bullied at some point, and they got to the point where they've had enough. And I told the kids, if a shooter comes to the school, I said, you're in the bathroom taking your time, the door's locked, we can't let you in. So, yeah, so it's when it comes to just school and the kids, yeah, some of them are for the streets, but some of them are dealing with things, and they need for you to actually, you know, give them some breathing room to kind of, you know, get themselves together. And relationships are extremely important. So I think there's a lot of teachers that don't take the time to build the relationships because they're so focused on teaching the lesson that they forget that the relationship is just as important as the academic relationship. So anyway, WD Funk says, before I forget, do any of you ladies have channels besides Blooming Emmy so I can sub and support? Oh, you know what? I don't have a channel. I've been considering it, but I don't know where I would find the time. So, but if I start one, I'll definitely make it known. So I'll probably go to Blooming Emmy for some tips because hers is amazing. So I'll probably come to her so she can give me some pointers.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so Atlanta Thrasher says, my child's listening ability is totally his fault. He hasn't learned his ADHD yet, and to notice when his focus is off, so I review his work when I get home from work. Atlanta Thrasher, I gotta give it up to you. I gotta give it up to you because you do more than a lot of parents do. The fact that you review the work when you get home, half these parents don't even look at the kids' work. Half the parents don't even realize when that they don't have homework or that they do. And then they come to a meeting and they're surprised about their child's grade. That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing about some of this stuff. But yeah, I got to give a shout out to you because you do a lot and some parents don't even do that. So, but WT Funk says, show the hair and outfit for your date night. Okay, he said he wants to see the outfit and the hair for your date night. Miss
Yes.
Queen.
If I am finished by then, but you know how Black girls do, and I'm about to deep condition my hair, so it's gonna be a minute.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little while.
Done.
So if she gets done, you get to see it. Nice. So W Funk says, all y'all teachers or therapists, they expect too much from teachers today. Ooh, ain't that the truth? My goodness, ain't that the truth? And Atlanta says, I got ADHD too. Got to cope with it and rise above it. Amen to that. And I work with special ed students, so I deal with some students that have ADHD. So, yeah. So he says 100% feedback doesn't exist. Interesting. I've got to drag it out of the kid. Interesting. Okay. And Grizzly Bear Production is tuning in. Says, yo, what's up? What's going on, Grizzly Bear Productions? All righty. And as it says, you can tune in to Blooming Ebony tonight at 8:30. I have heard that it's going to be a good one. So, you know, I might need to tune in myself to catch what she's talking about because I know it's going to be good. So definitely tune in to her channel after this because it's going to be good. So, all righty. Queen Dom, we're going to come back to you for that second question that says, before 2020, had you heard of homeschooling? Did you know anybody that did homeschool their kids?
So yes, I've heard of homeschooling before 2020. I've known people who homeschool their kids. I actually have a friend who was homeschooled, I want to say up to high school or all her life. I think it was up to high school. And her siblings weren't. She was the youngest and she was the only one homeschooled. And sorry, what was the second part of the question?
Oh no, so it was, had you heard of it, and did you know anybody that had done homeschooling?
Oh,
That was
yeah. Yeah.
all right. Thank you, Queen Dom. All righty. So thanks for everybody's feedback. I think I got everybody. Is there anybody that I missed before we get to the next question? Nobody? Okay, cool beans, cool beans. We're gonna get right on to question number 3. Question number 3. Let me see. Question number 3. Oh, there you see. I was about to, for a second, I thought my fingers was broken. All righty. Okay. So, do you feel that they should still kind of homeschool their kids, even if they go to school? So, do you guys feel that if your kids go to school, should you still be homeschooling your kids? All righty. So, we're going to start with Queen and Kris, then Mrs. M3, and then Queen Dom. All righty, Queen, what are your thoughts?
Who is they? Just for clarity, who is they? The parents or who?
So just anybody the question is directed to. So you could refer to yourself. So do you feel the parents will say, do you feel parents should homeschool their kids even though they're going to school? So all righty, Queen, what are your thoughts?
I wouldn't necessarily say if they're going to school, homeschool them. I would just say, have them, just check their work and have them in other activities, educational activities that can help boost their education and learning. Because you don't want to overwhelm them with school, but support them in their learning.
Thank you, Queen.
Make it fun. Make it fun.
Yes, definitely. I can definitely agree with that. Kris, what are your thoughts?
Yes, 100%. It's not that I don't think teachers can teach the kids everything that they need to know, but when these students are sitting in the classroom with 30 other kids, there's no way your kid is going to get all their needs met, and the parents should have a better idea of where their kids are ranking when it comes to reading, when it comes to math, when it comes to all these different areas. And the parents have no idea how their kids are doing until their parent-teacher conference, if they even show up for that. So I have a sister who's a teacher, and many people in my family are teachers, so I hear about this all the time. I'm not one for that reason, because I know how stressful it can be. Mm-hmm. But it's absolutely ridiculous. And so I think parents need to do more. And even if it's just taking your kids to an exam on the weekend while they're learning about, the Holocaust or whatever it may be, you taking them, you showing them this type of stuff, you also building this foundation for yourself and showing your child that they can embrace these things outside of school as well, making it more of a lifestyle and not just something that they have to do for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Because this is important. It's something that should be prioritized more in these households, and it's not. Parents are slacking, in my opinion. And I'm sorry for the parents out there who are getting real triggered, but my mom did daycare for many, many years. And for a while she did most ages, pretty much all ages. And these parents are slacking. And we need to have some type of standard for parents who want their children to be successful academically. You can't want your children to be gifted honor roll students if you're not going to give them what they need at home.
Well, Kris, I cannot say I disagree with you at all on what you're saying. You said a lot of interesting things that I agree with. And we see a lot of it where the parents are lacking when it comes to the students. And it's just sad, even when we did even with distance learning, you had it where parents were upset because it's like, oh, well, we're homeschooling the kids now. And they were mad about it, even though technically they weren't really homeschooling their kids. Their kids still had to be in class, even if it was on the computer. They still had work to do in class. They still had homework to do. So the only thing that changed with distance learning was the location. They still had to be, in class a certain amount of time, and they still had homework and classwork to do. So parents just looked at it as homeschooling because now you had to monitor your child a little bit more. Now you had to really watch what they were doing to see if they were in class, paying attention, doing what they're supposed to. And it took a lot more work on the parent side. And some parents were not ready for that. They didn't want to do that. And that's why you had a lot of parents that wanted teachers to get back in the classroom so they could send their kids back, because they weren't trying to deal with it. Because reality kids, like I said, if your kids are bad as hell, and you don't want to deal with them at home, so you send them to school and expect the teacher to deal with them, and then now you're mad because you got to deal with them more time than you needed to. So it's just interesting because you have those parents that, oh, my child, they would never do that. Oh, it has to be the teacher, it has to be the student. But the parents know what's really going on. So once they were forced to do that, it was like, now you got to deal with your kids on more than just that small little bit of time in the evening and in the morning. Now you got to deal with them throughout the day too. So was a little too much for a lot of them. So, but yeah, a lot of parents are slacking for real, seriously. All right, so before we get to Queen and then Queen Dom, I think that was the order I said. Or maybe it was Queen Dom and then Queen. I want to read the comments real quick because comments just keep rolling in, which is nice. So WT Funk says, we need a Black Amish community. We made fun of them in the 90s, but they look like geniuses now. Interesting. All righty. Yeah, they did get made fun of, but top people looking at it now like, that might be a good idea. And then the Atlanta Thresher says, I do. I want to show my son the alternate to new math. You know what? As teachers, we want to teach the alternate to new math. Just saying. We want to teach that because the new math is something else. So I'm just leaving it at that. But Gator Girl says, I think parents should be partners with their children's teacher and be readily aware of what's being taught. Amen to that. Amen to that. WT Funk says, yes, you are your kid's most important teacher, not TV, not internet, not friends, and not teachers. It is a parent's responsibility if you care. I'm the teacher now. That I feel like that should have been in all capital letters. If you care, that should have been, because you can be a child bearer. That's not the same thing as being a parent. So just because you bear a child doesn't make you a parent. Just saying. Atlanta Thresher says, supplemental education helps kids get the full picture. Education shouldn't be the one thing parents give up because someone else has it covered. Double cover it. Oh, yes. Amen to that. Amen to that. And he said, Atlanta Thresher says, at Knowledge and Relationships, I give you permission to like your own content. It's good stuff. It's nice. Thank you very much. All righty, we're going to go to Queen Dom. Okay, so what do you think?
Shout out
Queen
to
Dom.
Jeanette Jones. There's another couple comments.
Oh, sorry about that. So WT Funk says, facts, Ebony. I remember when my grandpa pulled me out of school during Indian Week at Oklahoma and moved me to Rex to learn, and it changed my life for the best. Okay. And then Jeanette Jones. Welcome, Jeanette Jones. Thank you for tuning in. Jeanette Jones says, at Gator Girl 04, I agree. Parents and teachers should partner in teaching. Reggio Emilia theory is student-centered. Students are the first teacher and the parents the second. Interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up because I've not done research on that theory, but interesting. And Atlanta Thrush says, my mom couldn't help me. She was an 8th grade dropout, but I helped her get her GED. I got her back. LOL. Hey, you know what? Hey, good for you. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And I'm going to read this one comment, and then we are going to get back to our panelists to get their feedback. And Jeanette says, let's be careful in perpetrating the same teacher versus parent battle. Let's have grace and work together. There are factors why parents struggle with their kids outside of them being slacking. I do agree with that. And I will respond to that after we get our panelist response to the question. So, and I will read Gator Girl's comment as well. Queen Dom, what are your thoughts? Do you think that if the child is going to school, they should still be homeschooled?
Yeah. So yeah, this was actually my question. I think that when kids go to school, they still need to learn something at home. Like Kris said it like the best. I think that yeah, you need to be teaching your kids, something else, because the teachers can only teach them but so much. Like they follow a curriculum, they follow a certain standard and things like that. So you definitely want to, when your child comes home, teach them other things. Also about culture, like Kris said, I actually went to the Holocaust Museum with my Nana, because most of my family on my mom's side, they're Jehovah's Witness. And in the Holocaust, they wore purple triangles. So we went to the Holocaust Museum to learn about that. I've been to the Space Museum. I've been, so I think these are all things that you should be doing with your kids. You can't just wait for the school trip. Those school trips, the teachers don't have that one-on-one time to really go through everything in the museum, to really explain and answer all these questions. And, they're not supposed to. They have their job. And, of course, a lot of them go above and beyond. And thank you for that. I don't have kids, but thank you in advance. But it's still, they have their own life and they have their own children that they still have to teach at home. A lot of the times they're just their own families. So yeah, I think that you should definitely be like teaching your kids something. But like Queen said, not like full homeschooling and like overwhelming them. But my little sister, my stepmom is deaf. And, she teaches them at home, but she's nonverbal. She doesn't speak and she doesn't hear. So my little sister, before I used to tutor her in English, not that she was doing bad, she was very smart. I was so confused. But, just to make sure she was saying these words correct and doing these things, outside of school. And now she still has someone tutoring her now, just to make sure that she gets that voice heard or whatever. So yeah, I think it's definitely more important to do things at home with your kids, as well as on top of them going to school.
Okay, I had to make sure I wasn't muted. I was almost about to start talking. I had to make sure I wasn't muted because I tend to talk and I'm muted and you can't nobody hear me. All righty, so thank you, Queen Dom. Thank you for that. We're gonna go to Queen. What are your thoughts? Do you think that, or did I already come to Queen? I think I came to Queen already.
Yeah, I answered that already.
Okay, thank you very much. All righty, so I wanted to address the comment that said about it not just being about a parent slacking, that there's other reasons. And I do agree with that, that it is not necessarily that a parent is slacking. There are a variety, economic reasons could be another reason. It could be about, that the parent did, drop out of school at an early grade level. It could be that maybe the parent didn't learn to read. But I do feel that if that's the case, there are things that you can research that to help you with your child. So I feel like there is still a responsibility that you have, that if you want to do these things for your child, there are things that can help you. I mean, like for me, for instance, I have it where the parents are able to contact me and I can do a lesson over a Zoom, no problem. I've told my parents that all the time. There's different homework clubs that they offer. There's even like at the libraries, sometimes they offer homework help. There's free tutoring. Sometimes there's things at schools. Like at the school I work at, they have Power Hour, which is an hour after school, I think 3 or 4 days a week. So there are different programs. So when I say parents are slacking, it's a matter of you're not looking for the things that can help your child. If you're not able to, you're not doing enough research to find out the things that will help your child if you're not able to, because there is things that you can find. I mean, even if you find somebody who has a child that's in high school or something and, ask, can your child help my child with math or with English or something like that. So, doing research is what I think needs to happen in order for you to get your child what they need. So I'd say that as far as slacking, I do think parents are slacking on that, because even if you're not checking your child's work when they get home, because maybe you're not able to because you don't understand it, do the research to find someone that can help them so that your child is not slacking. So that's what I have to say to that.
Tammy, I want to say something really quick to what you just said about getting a teenager. So because of this topic, every topic me and Ali from the women's stream, we always like kind of talk about, well, I talk and he just like acts like he's listening. So we were talking about homeschooling, and I was saying if it's cheaper, like I have no problem homeschooling the kids, to first grade. They probably get to first grade and need to be skipped. I was like, but I want them, if we have to live in a certain school district, and if we can't live in a good school district, then we could just get somebody older to teach our kids, you know, a little bit more so that they stay at the level that we want them to be at when it's time to apply to college. So I mentioned that teenager thing, like getting one of the teenagers in the neighborhood to be like, oh, well, what grade are you in? Well, can you teach them AP English because their school doesn't offer it and we don't live in the right school district? You know, like we were just talking about that.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing is that, you know, you have to do your research. You can't just say, oh, well, you know, I can't do that, so it is what it is. You can't have that attitude. You know, you got to find the things that the different avenues you could go to in order to help your child to be successful. So as far as slacking, yeah, parents are slacking on that because that's your responsibility as a parent who cares to do those kind of things. And when you're choosing not to, then you're doing your child a disservice. And you're also doing your child's teacher a disservice because as I can't remember who it was, I think it was Queen Dom, you stated that, you know, the teacher can only teach so much. You know, some kids, when they get home, they might not have caught the entire lesson in the class. So if they have that reinforcement, it's actually going to help them a lot. So, yeah. So thank you everybody for your feedback on that. As far as what I think just in general, you should be like educating your kids at home anyway. So it shouldn't just be they go to school and that's where the learning ends. No, they should be learning at school, but they should also be learning at home. So even with something as checking their homework when they get home, you know, you can easily see what mistakes they're making. I mean, with my daughter, I check her homework. When she's done it, I check it, make sure it's done right. There could be the teacher in me, but I think it's not just the teacher, but it's the parent in me as well. So yeah, definitely want to do both. You know, don't just depend on the public schooling that your child understands, because there's a lot of kids that they get in class, they pretend like they understand, and then they don't, depending on the kind of teacher that they have. So, and depending on if it's a subject that they're not as strong. Like I didn't have good math teachers, so I hated math. So I didn't understand the math that I was being taught. So I didn't do well when it came to math and science. Had I had a little bit more reinforcement, I might have been doing better. So, but yeah. So already, okay, thanks you guys. Thank you everybody.
I think we missed Miss M3. I think we missed Miss M3.
Oh, Mrs. M3, I apologize.
My camera closed out, so I missed my turn after Blooming Ebony. So.
All right. Oh, go ahead, Mrs. M3. What are your thoughts as far as if they're going to public school, do you feel like they should still be homeschooled at home?
If they're going to public school, homeschooling looks like what exactly, right? There's cultures that have, you know, regular public school and then they send their kids to their cultural school after school, for example. But it's less of the parents' involvement and more of the education that maybe the parents wouldn't know how to give. Maybe the parents learned when they were younger because, you know, of their surroundings and their environment that they want to extend to their kid, but without the help from, you know, a community of people that can do that, they wouldn't be able to otherwise give it. So homeschooling for the sake of just giving them more work to do, I don't think that would be a good idea. But if they're going to public school and then their parents want, you know, just an indoctrination of their culture, their life, their family, that kind of thing, that makes sense. But if it's like you go to school for 8 hours, you get math and science and all the, you know, core and other curriculars, and then you come home, and what does homeschool look like? Because you're at public school, now you have homework. At some point you want to eat dinner, at some point you want to go to bed. What does homeschool look like in that regard? So if it's beneficial, then yes. If it's just work for the sake of work, then I don't think that would be beneficial. And it doesn't get the family to know each other very well because it's kind of a different kind of structure.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mrs. M3. All right, so we have a guest, everybody. We have a guest on our panel. Would our guest please introduce themselves?
Am I the guest?
Yes, you are.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Show King, or Miss Show King, Queen Show King, whatever. I'm trying to undo this camera. Make sure I can do. Hey, what's up, y'all? And I'm an educator here in California, and I am very appreciative of this conversation as it pertains to homeschooling, education, learning, and that whole thing, and the vast differences of those. So I'm enjoying the conversation. So thank you for the invite, and thank you. Excuse me, I am Ashley. I'm trying to make sure I'm not Ashley on camera. Little insight.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. We definitely appreciate another educator being a part of the discussion. So nice to have you. Nice to have you. Okay, so then I will come to you for the question we just had, as far as, do you feel that a child that's being going to public school should still be homeschooled? Somewhat, if anything.
I'm going to go ahead and agree and say black salutely. You'll see my shirt. Black salutely. Because learning is every day. It's all the time. It's on a continuum. So why, compartmentalize what that is? And I have a number of students who love to learn, but may not like school. And so that's a whole different take on things as well. So, and I remember being one of those students at one point where it's like, man, only thing I liked about school was lunch and PE and my friends, you know what I'm saying? But I knew that I had a thirst for knowledge in general. So
nice.
I definitely think that, no doubt. There's too many benefits to learning, and there's just too many benefits. Like the home is the first teacher. The surroundings, the environment is the very first teacher. And if we continue to embrace that, then we'd understand a lot better in terms of what learning is, what education is, and what knowledge. Like, you get what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I definitely do think there are some things that are not taught that need to be, including, when it comes to anything dealing with Black history. There's a whole lot of things that ain't taught. There's those token people that we always talk about, but there's others that we don't know about, unless it is intentionally taught to you. And typically in the public school, it's not. So which is, definitely a detriment to not just, Black students, but, students of all races. They need to know a lot more about, African-American history than they do. So,
Right. Case in point, even just thinking back from speaking from our community, I did my senior thesis in college on education in America before the integration. And for Black communities, it turned out to be better in so many ways prior to. And so the reason that's a lot of the reasons even why Black colleges came to be and Black institutions came to be out of necessity. And so when I looked at that piece, and then just even thinking on how my grandparents educated us and how they themselves were also educated, which was during that time, and would hear stories about that time. And, they were like, well, we just didn't want it to rain in the classroom, and we wanted to have access to the same type of books and the same types of information, whereas they weren't exposed to certain things in terms of schooling and knowledge, whether they wanted to be a doctor or what have you. So really for me, it's so deep. It's so much deeper than, should we homeschool? Should we not homeschool? But even, when you think of Venus and Serena Williams, I was sharing this story with Miss M3. Venus and Serena went pro at a certain age. They couldn't just go to Compton High School and then play in Wimbledon. Like in that same vein, like the level of who they're around and the levels of what they needed to know as it pertained to their specific profession is what they needed to know more than just, let me go take chemistry, or let me just go ahead and, get on the track of being a doctor when I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be a tennis player. So it's really, to me, it's more vast than, the eye can see, because there's so much history behind it, and the control that the colonized educators in the education system wants to have over the disenfranchised community. So it's imperative that we always, always, always homeschool in our own community. And we always, always, always homeschool, even in our homes. Like, I don't have biological children, but I always find myself educating. When somebody's like, can you babysit? I'm like, I don't babysit. We about to be in school up in here. Like, just know this is a curriculum, and you're going to have to pay for supplies, And this is what we do. This is hip hop education for all ages. And so it's the idea, that, and why I even created the education project was to show, like, it's the idea that at all ages you can learn, because I love when they teach me something, and not just how to get on Instagram and do a boomerang, but also when they teach me what I taught them, like act like I don't know. And as they teach themselves. So homeschooling is deep. Like, they took out home economics, like, and it's like, man, they could learn math through recipes or through formula, and it's like just looking at the things that when they control the education, when I mean the colonizers of education control the education, it's like we step back. There's 180 days, I guess, of education in school. That's a half of a year. When you times that by 2, that's 1 full year. So the students are only getting half of a year's of education for an entire year. So when you do that calculation, you wonder why someone's behind. You wonder why they can't compete at the same levels, when they go on to college or further. And it's like they're competing with the world, which I have students around the world, and they are memorizing their math book. So when you look at someone in Germany memorizing the math book, and someone here who's trying to just memorize one little formula and they can't really get it, and we're just struggling, it's like, well, where's the disconnect? And it may not just be in necessarily skin color. It could be in what's being taught and the way it's being taught and so on. So
awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And could you tell me your name one more time?
Show, that's S to the H.
Show. All right. So thank you, Show. Thank you very much. We want to welcome my sister's keeper, Miss Danielle, to our panel. What's going on, Danielle?
Nothing much. I'm at work, so I heard to hurry up and get done so I could jump on here with you guys.
No, we appreciate you coming. We definitely appreciate you coming. As you know, we are talking about homeschooling. Is it a better choice? And our number 3 question, which Show lovely gave an answer to. So we absolutely love the answer that she gave. She is our lovely guest for this topic. But I'm going to come to you, Danielle. And what are your thoughts? Do you feel that if a child is in public school, should they still be homeschooled, at least somewhat?
Absolutely. My children go to school, but on top of going to school, I have my children starting at 3 years old, enrolled in something called Kumon. And that teaches math and English. And that goes up until about high school. So, and Kumon is all day, every day. It's 7 days a week homework. The first thing that they do when they interview my child is they let them know that you have this homework like you brush your teeth. So even when you go on vacation, you still have to do this homework. So I definitely feel like you should add to what your children have to learn. Because like she said, I didn't know that it was just a half a year that they were in school, how they have it broken up. But when I was a kid, I have all boys. I have 4 sons. But when I was in school, the teacher would go around and have the kids read. And the girls didn't really have a problem with reading, but boys tend to struggle with reading out loud. And so for me, it was very important that I get my children ahead of the game and used to reading and writing and arithmetic and reading out loud, so that once it's their turn, that they don't have to be embarrassed and shy away from reading out loud. I want them to be confident with what they know.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. And Gator Girl says that she did Kumon as well. So she's very familiar with that. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so let me go ahead and read these comments that have been coming in. Let me go ahead and address these, read them out loud for everybody. So Jeanette Jones says, if they're going to school, I believe all there shouldn't be homework sent home unless it's a project they are working on. Stats on homework is that it isn't productive. And then Alana Thrasher says, I'll admit it's also hard working full time, taking care of all the home economics and keeping your kid or kids on track. But a kid notices your efforts, even if it's minimal. Absolutely agree with that. Alana Thrasher also says, by minimal, I mean the max you give with the time and energy available. Yes, definitely. And he says, good point, Mrs. M3. And says, nice. And WT Funk says, school clearly needs to be rebuilt and the teachers need freedom to teach without being forced to follow curriculum. Question is, how to build your own school as a government will not truly help. And says, I will cam after, and I'm enjoying this ladies' night, so I'll be weird and keep watching and keep supporting by sending drinks to the bar for them. Well, don't send a drink to the bar for me because I ain't gonna be able to drink it. So I don't want, unless you're gonna send that through the internet my way. But I mean, I'll just think about the drink that you send it. A Long Island iced tea if you're really sending drinks. Just saying. And then WT Funk says Crimson Cure is I think it's in the building. I think that's supposed to be in the building. Joking. And at Danielle, not a relationship at Danielle. And Good Girl says, great insights. Awesome. And then Mr. Hall of Fame is tuning in. Says, Nausea Relationships, we in here. And Gator Girl says, work hard, says Danielle, work hard. She says, I did Kumon. And on vacation too, they took no breaks. And then Buzz Royale CR is tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Buzz Royale says, I remember my nephew doing his homework on vacation. All right.
New person, a new viewer. Hi,
Yes.
Royale.
So if you guys are watching, please make sure you hit that like button. And you can also subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get notified on everything that Nausea Relationship is doing, because everything it does is amazing. All righty. So I will address the homework. So I think it's Japan. I'm not sure what country it is where they don't send any homework home. I think that I know it's some country. And I'm not 100% sure, but I know there's a country where the kids are doing amazing in school. And there was a reporter that went there and asked them about what is it they do different. And they said, we don't send home homework. And I thought it was very interesting. I don't see teachers doing that, to be perfectly honest. I think they would love to, but I don't know. I mean, that'd be nice if we tried it just, to kind of see the difference between, sending homework and then not sending. I would think that would be a nice experiment just to see, even if it was for a semester, just to see if that would work.
I will tell you, I try the hardest, and I don't give them a hard time, especially since COVID. If they come in with some of my work is done, but I had to eat dinner, I was on track and field and this and that. We have kids that are 7 classes a day. And I think the only reason homework exists is because there's not enough hours in a class to let them do their work. I let them do their work. And I tell them they have till the end of the unit, turn it in. I don't mark them late for it until after the unit's done.
See, I'm very similar in that. So I work with special ed students and they do get homework. Their homework looks exactly like what we do in class. And I tell them that they don't have to do the entire page. I tell them, there's 10 problems. I'll say, if you could do 5, that's fine. And a lot of them bring their homework back with just those 5 done. And they can still get full credit, even if they have just the 5 done. But also I say Fridays for them to, whatever homework they missed, they get to do it on Friday in class, and I can help them with it, and they can still get credit for it. So I do it that way just because I kind of feel like, there could be a reason why they didn't get it done at home. You have some of these kids that are babysitting their siblings when they get home. Some of these kids are helping their parents with things. And even like when they did distance learning, I had some kids that were like, oh, if my camera's off, I'm babysitting, or I'm helping my mom cook breakfast, or I'm doing all these other things. And I mean, it would bug me that the parents took advantage of the fact that, yeah, they're at home now, but they're still in school. So the building has changed, but they're still in school. But the parents are taking advantage of that. Oh, they're at home, so now I can do it. So I do get, even if I was working with general ed kids, I think it would kind of be the same, because you have to understand that their home life may be very chaotic, where they don't have time. I don't want them to feel upset about the fact I really tried, or I didn't have time, or my mom or my dad had me doing this. I want them to feel a little bit at ease, knowing that, hey, even if I don't get it done, it's gonna be okay. So yeah. So
what are you giving them a 0 or an F on? Compliance? Like because they fail to follow your instruction to do the
Right.
homework, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So WT Funk says that he sent a clip, but there was a comment that he made before he said that he just sent it to you. So, if we could get that comment up, that would be really, really great. There we go. He says, "Holy crap, knowledge. My sister, who is a teacher in Seattle, just sent me this clip. Can you please have the ladies react and discuss? They want to make it so kids can get jabbed at school." All righty. So I think we do. And he said he says only 2 minutes. I think he did send the clip. So if the people we got behind the scenes can go ahead and load that clip up, then we can definitely go ahead and watch that and react to that. It'll be very interesting to see because none of us even know what the clip is. So this will be a true reaction because none of us have any idea about what we're about to see. So this will,
Well,
I wanted to say also, I think the reason why other countries are so ahead of us is because I forgot what country it was, but they take the kids outside and they learn in the community, meaning like if they're learning about plants or animals, they're taking them to the park and they're actually looking at animals, looking at the trees, and stuff like that. So I think it's very important to, I think, switch up your teaching techniques and I don't think in America we give teachers the freedom to switch it up. I know that there was this one teacher, she rapped history. And so what she saw was the kids' scores jump because they all listen to rap music. So let's be creative. And that was something my sister used to do. She used to sing her homework and she was straight A, got skipped a few times, so I think it's also learning different techniques as a way to teach kids. So
yeah, I definitely agree with that, Queen, that the hands-on learning is so beneficial and important. And you have some students that they're not visual learners. So they can see you can show what you're doing, but visually it's not going to make sense. You have students that are not auditory learners. So as much as what you're saying is not making sense. So hands-on is so important. I wish some teachers, understood that, but yeah, we're not going to go there. So okay, so we're going to go to the next question. Oh, never mind. No, we're not. We're going to see this clip. So if everybody could just mute themselves and we'll go ahead and play the clip real quick.
Very quick question, and this General Counsel Large might be for you because you've been tracking the regulatory environment. So I understand that piece about mandatory vaccinations, even though I don't know the extent to which there could be a gubernatorial override of that. I think that's also quite possible. But we know that just in ordinary times, we have quite a lot of variability in the vaccination rates in our various school communities. So what is our ability to ask about vaccination status for students and staff?
I think we are able to inquire about vaccination status. Where we have to be very sensitive is when we get how we respond to the answers we get. So if someone says that they have not been vaccinated, we have to be very careful about asking why in the follow-up questions.
But it seems like really important information to me because it's going to show us that we have a different environment in different school communities, to a greater or lesser degree. So I would like to hear more about what we do there. And
I can tell you that there are several conversations happening at the staff level about how to obtain that information and what the mechanisms are to have as few touches as possible to get it into the system so that when it's in, it's updated and it's in the right place. So those conversations and work streams are happening to understand what the menu of options looks like before any decisions are made. Good. So I think I would say more to come. I don't know if there are other
And then my other related question is whether we have any plans with any of our partners to offer vaccinations on site during the school year, especially in our, high schools and middle schools.
Absolutely. So we are currently doing 2 strands of work on that front. On one front, we're working with our middle school and high school principals to identify key events in their school communities where we can promote and have access to the vaccine. So that's one thing that's already underway. In addition, we are anticipating, as you all know, that our students under 12 will get vaccinated, will have access to the vaccine at some point in the school year. And so we are actually in conversation with local health providers to think about a mobile clinic that actually goes through every single one of our elementary schools as that gets outlined. And so more details to come on that. We're still in early planning stages. Obviously, we don't know when the FDA is going to
All righty. Okay, we're going to take it around the board. We're going to start with Kris, then Queen, then our guest. Then we're going to go to Danielle, then Queen Dom, and then Mrs. M3. All righty, Kris, what is your reaction and thoughts on that video?
So it's probably where I'm in Portland. I don't know if it's Portland, Maine or Portland, Oregon. It's probably Portland, Oregon. That's something that Portlanders would do. There's quite a bit going on in that video, but I think the main idea was kind of how we're going to go about discussing whether or not the students have, they use the term vacations 19 because the other word gets flagged often in these videos. So I'm going to say vacations instead of the other word, but I don't know, my thought, one thing that I don't like about this is I think that people should just have more time. And what makes me really nervous about the mandates is that for a while they were saying that the people who are most hesitant about vacations is Blacks and Hispanics. And so if they start to do these mandates, it's mostly going to affect the Blacks and Hispanics. And I'm not sure if people are still they're going to make this decision just to keep their kids in school, or if they're going to consider taking their kids out of school because they don't feel comfortable with this decision. And so the fact that these conversations are happening so soon, while people just want to wait for FDA approval, I just think is inappropriate. I understand public safety is a big deal. It's a major, it's a conversation that needs to be had. But at the same time, I do think that we should look at these things big picture and think about who's going to be affected quite a bit from these premature decisions, Yeah.
All right, thank you, Kris. Queen, what are your thoughts?
I don't think it's okay. I think you need to let parents make their decisions for their kids, just like measles and mumps. There's a lot of parents that haven't gotten their kids vaccinated for things like that. So I don't think you should decide for anybody, or bully people to do something that they don't feel comfortable doing. So, yeah.
All right, thank you, Queen. Show, what are your thoughts? Guest? Is it getting? There you are. Okay.
Yes, I'm here. Let me wait. As far as being vaccinated for the COVID-19?
Yeah, so as far as the video, what are your thoughts on the video?
I think I agree with the last speaker in terms of allowing the family to decide. It's really is a kind of a tough spot, but I think it's probably best because most people know what's best for themselves and what would work for themselves. So that's kind of where I'm at.
All righty, thank you very much. Danielle, what are your thoughts?
Pretty much the same as everyone else, that I think that it's a personal decision and we shouldn't be forced to do anything. And the fact that they are trying to take away all of the outs that you have for the other vaccinations, like the religious things that you can use to not have to take it. The only thing it does is make people more cautious and more worried about having to take it, because it's like, what is about this one that you're trying to force us to do when it's actually not even doing anything? It doesn't stop you from getting or spreading. They say that it lessens the symptoms, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not vaccinated. No one in my home is vaccinated. I mean, I shouldn't be saying the word, huh? Vaseline. But yeah.
Vacillated. That's funny.
I don't know. I think it's crazy.
And she's speaking as a nurse, mom, wife.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Danielle. All righty, Queen Dom, what are your thoughts? Queen Dom, you there? Okay, we'll come back to you. I'm not sure if you're there or not. You might be muted, possibly. But we'll come back to you. We're gonna go ahead and go to Mrs. M3 and then Queen Dom. If you come back, just let us know. All righty, Mrs. M3, what are your thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts. Let me collect them.
I didn't, not yet. The day's not
there
over
she
yet. The day's not over yet. The day's not over.
Queen
You still have
Dom,
to.
we can hear you. Hold on
The
one
day's not
second.
over yet.
Queen Dom, are you there? You going? Hello?
No, go ahead, Mrs. M3. We'll have her go after you. Go ahead.
So thought number one is that in relation to the back and in relation to students, you have what you would think what health scientists would call herd immunity, right? So the people that are getting vaccinated, or sorry, this word, the people that are getting this injection are taking it on themselves, be healthy, carrying into the community this, they say it's not the virus itself, but however, as they're getting the injection, some people not only develop symptoms, but test positive, okay? So, which means that they're carriers, okay? Which means when they come in contact with people, those people are then in contact with this thing. And so when this thing is introduced in the community, whether it's from a person that wasn't injected or a person that was injected, either way, herd immunity says if you are in contact with that person somehow or some way, you'll either also be affected, you could become a carrier, or you may just develop the antibodies that protect you against it. So with that said, it can be difficult, especially, I'm not a parent, but if you are a parent, to say, I feel safe with my child, whether vaccinated or not, to go to a public place, a public school, to have my child get this injection, or not get this injection, but to be exposed to this illness. Here's the thing. People that are online school and at home don't particularly have to, but they're trying to mandate that as well. Students that are homeschooled, not just online school, but homeschooled, seemingly protected, safe, no problems whatsoever, except now you have to prove either injected or that you're CV negative for any public place you go. So if this homeschooled family wants to go to the zoo, wants to go to the park, well, not necessarily the park, but any public place where you have to go indoors, now this whole family has to present either, they've been injected or that they are CV negative. So that part, forcing people to get this injection, I really agree with Blooming Ebony that it's just too soon, too fast for some people, and especially the fact that you're government is trying to make everyone get it, even people who have already experienced the illness, come through the illness, their body already has the antibodies for it. They are saying everyone, just blanketed across the board. What kind of injection? Because injections are usually meant to prevent, as far as I know, as a health educator. And so I see the nurse mom wife is nodding her head. RNs know the same thing. So I'm not sure where it's going, but I just know it's nothing that we've ever seen before in the way of healthy people being sent home, just like the sick. No one ever in history before 2020 that was well was ever quarantined. Sick people are quarantined. Zombies are quarantined. People, I'm not necessarily, you're infected with smallpox, you stay away from the population. Got it. We don't know if you're infected, so we're going to quarantine you with those that are infected. How and why? I don't know why that happened. But I would really want health educators to sit down with the people that are in power in administration and just help them understand how the human body works, because it doesn't seem like they understand that.
Thank you, Mrs. M3. All righty, Queen Dom, are you there? Yes, no, maybe.
She said she's having a problem unmuting her mic.
Oh, got it. Okay. Okay. So as far as the video, you know, I don't think mandating anything is a good idea, just because when you're forcing people to do something, now you're going to have more people stepping away from doing it rather than opting to do it, just because now you're taking my choice away. So now I'm purposely not going to do it, because now you're not allowing me to choose for myself. You're choosing for me. So I was like, that takes away their choice, and nobody wants to have their choice taken away. So, I mean, when it comes to the C thing, I kind of have a morbid thinking, like everybody's going to die at some point. Like you will die one day. Like, you don't know when your day is, but you know you will die at some point. So if you choose not to get the vaccine, you choose not to get it. If you get it, you get it. If the C thing is meant to kill you, it's going to kill you whether you have the vaccine or not. So I mean, I don't know. Like, I just don't think mandating anything is. I don't think. That's the thing, is there's so many different things that they're trying to motivate people to do it. There's something I seen on the View, and they showed a commercial of a guy, and he was saying, "Oh, I've been in the hospital for, you know, X amount of days, and I didn't get Vaseline, and I'm just, you know," and it's like they were saying, they have the question, like, is this going to motivate people to do it? And I mean, of course they couldn't hear me, but I was saying no, because if that was going to motivate people, we've already seen plenty of commercials. So if that was going to motivate people to get it, they would have gotten it by now. So people are either going to get it or they're not. I personally don't really care if you have it or not. If you are Vaseline or not. I am Vaseline, to be perfectly honest. I mean, and that was just a choice that I had. Nobody forced me to get it. I chose to do it on my own. My district wasn't forcing me to do it anything. My mother and my brother came to visit, and my mother told me she wouldn't have came to even visit me had I not been, which I kind of think was just not the nice thing to say. But yeah, I mean, I got it, and I mean, but that even though I have it, I still wear a mask, because the reality is that you can still get it and pass it even though you're Vaseline. So, which I think is funny, because I took my daughter to an event recently, and they said, because she's not old enough to get it, they were like, "Oh, you know, you can do this rapid test." And then I was sitting there thinking, like, well, why don't you test me too? Because I might have it too. So it's like if you get it, that's great, but you should still get tested anyway, because you might still have it and be passing it. So I don't know. I just don't think mandating anything. Anyway, like, they don't even mandate people to get the regular ones, because you can opt out of getting the regular ones that you have to have in order for your child to go to school. They have to have certain Vaselines done. Well, they don't mandate those, and you can actually have an option that if you're not, say something that your child is not. So I just find it interesting with the whole thing, just in general. And then if schools get more money because most of their students are, I don't necessarily think that's a good idea, or that should even be a motivator. I think that they should have it where if you choose to get it, choose to get it. If you choose not to, you choose not to. But I kind of feel like they're using these scare tactics to make people do something, and I feel like it's going to backfire on them. Like I feel like if they didn't do these things where like I know in California, they were offering money. Like if you got Vaseline by a certain date, they put you in a drawing where you could get money. And I think they do that in other states. And it's like you shouldn't have to do that. You know, if it's really that important, that significant, it should be able to speak for itself. And so the fact that you are trying to make people get something and mandating something as if to say, you have to do this, you need to do this. Just that's the thing. It's like, think of it like when you're a parent. If you're trying to force your child to stay away from somebody, that's going to make them go interact with them even more. So the more you force them not to do something, that's going to make them do it even more. So it's almost like they have to have that mentality, but they don't. In their mind, well, they need to do it. We're going to try to force them to do it, do A, B, C, and D. And that's just not necessarily going to have the right, like I said, I think it's just going to backfire in the end. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, that's my thoughts. Mrs. M3?
I was going to say in comment to the money that they're offering, it may just break even, right? Because there's families that may want to take their kids out of schools, which if attendance drops, their money's going to drop also. So maybe that incentive to, you know, oh, the schools that have kids all vaccinated are going to get this amount of money, probably just as a buffer to the families that are like, well, you know, mass exodus, we're leaving whatever state to go to a state that doesn't require it, you know.
I just think it's horrible to punish a child's education based on the decisions that their parents made for them. Like that is so unethical. Like to restrict funding to the school because they're not making the decision you want them to make is absolutely ridiculous to me. Like nothing makes me more angry than hurting the kids, knowing that they're not even as affected by this as people over 50, not nearly as affected. And you want to punish them because they're not doing the thing that you want them to do. So you're to sway these parents, you're going to punish the children. So unethical.
And if I could quickly add to your note, sis, when you think about it, you know, they were only really graduating, what, like 30% of our students anyway. So you want 100% of our money when you're graduating 30% of our students and undereducating them in the process? Let's be clear about our decisions here. You know what I'm saying? So there needs to be accountability for those adults who are in control of that.
Thank you. Thank you, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and read these comments that are coming in. MarioMarion is tuning in. We know we love Mario. Thank you, Mario, for tuning in. All righty. And then WT Funk says, did you catch the part about the Vaseline number will affect which school gets an increase in funding? Many schools will get money for pushing this on kids, which, you know, is really just ridiculous. Jeanette Jones says, wait, the numbers decide which schools get funding? Question mark, question mark. Says, why can we not use the word? And WT Funk says, yes, and they are also seeing which people are, they're supposed to be getting Vaseline and then funding the community that have high Vaseline numbers. Interesting. And in response to why we can't say the word, WT Funk says, YouTube is striking channels that speak negative about Vaseline. Interesting. Bloom and Ebony, who is on our panel, lovely, she responded to WT Funk and said, is there an Oregon lottery for people who get it? Thousands of dollars. Interesting. I mean, I could just play the regular lottery and get, you know, millions of dollars. So they might want to up that number. But that's not in California. So, you know. Jeanette Jones says, ha ha ha. I did not know this about YouTube. Thanks. Yeah, I didn't know that either. Seriously. And WT Funk says, seriously, Blooming. And Bloom and Emmy says, yep. Crazy, right? MarioMarion says, unfortunately, there's no cure to my ashiness with the Vaseline. Jeanette Jones says, haha, Mario, no cure for the ash. Well, you know, Vaseline does help with the ash. Just saying, you know, you use enough. Just saying. Gator Girl says, I'm more in favor of mandates for masks and or the jab, but I find the attack on school boards enacting them very interesting. It is very interesting. And MarioMarion says, this was never a free country. Ain't that the truth? He said, freedom costs $1.05. The Atlanta Thrasher says, freedom costs $1.05. Very interesting. I had my daughter listen to the song Glory by John Legend and Common. Yeah. So, like, I think the line she likes is, freedom is juxtapositioning us. Freedom for all just ain't specific enough. So yeah, she likes that song a lot. So, could be because she likes John Legend, but she always asks me about the song and the different things that he says in there and what they mean. So yeah, so very interesting. Yeah, and then Atlanta Thrasher says, them taxes, LOL. All righty, so thank you guys. Thank you, WT Funk, for that video. Yeah, that was very, very interesting. I would wonder though, as far as homeschooling, because I could see that I could think that they wouldn't mandate them to get Vaselined. That's interesting. So that they would have it, because my thinking is that if they're mandating it, would that mandate apply if you got home? Find a way to make a mandate if you're homeschooling your kids. I find that interesting because I feel like that would be their next direction. That, okay, they're pulling their kids out. Okay, now let's come with a new mandate for the people that are pulling their kids out. So, yeah, so very interesting. Anywho,
I think.
Let's go on.
Oh,
Huh?
I was going to answer your question.
Yeah, go ahead, Kris.
In some states that are very serious about it, they're just making it really hard to do stuff, and so they're making it where you have to either get tested the day of your visits if you want to go to a museum. Basically, if you want to go anywhere outside of churches or grocery stores, you have to either test negative or have the vacation or the Vaseline. So that's basically what they're doing.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's just crazy. And yeah, it is very common out here that even like when I took my daughter to that thing, you know, even though you have a mask, and they didn't say anything before. That's the thing that made me mad. When I took her up there, they were like, oh, by the way, you can't get in. So yeah, yeah, it's just interesting the way that things are going. I don't know, you know, like I said, you're gonna die at some point. So if you don't get it, and you do get it, either way, you know, when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. And if COVID gets you, you know, then it was your time to go. You served your purpose. You know, you've done whatever work you are meant to do here. So my thing is that people are so worried about the C word and the V word, but you ain't worried about the way you treating people and how you live in your life. That's what you need to be worried about, because when it's your time to go, you need to be more concerned about where you going when it's your time to go. Just saying. Yeah, just saying. So that's my opinion on that. But WC Funk says, it's so different here in Germany. And many are planning to build online homeschooling website. Oh, you're in Germany? My brother's in Germany. He lives in Munich. Nice. Yeah, so yeah, okay, so WT Funk said that. I think there was another comment that WT Funk had made. If it pops up, I'll be able to read it. But we are going to go to our next question. I think this is our number 4 question. So if it pops up as I'm wiggling my fingers to draw it out of its, no. Well, it's a comment. Okay, let me start wiggling my fingers. Oh, dang it, the comment left. Okay, dang it, there's a question. Okay, dang it, there's a comment. Okay. Okay, it said, oh wait, we read that one already. Okay, so that's not the one. So let's get back to the question. There we go. So it says, some homeschool students don't develop strong social skills. If there is a chance for your child to do better academically being homeschooled, would you take the risk of having a socially awkward, I think the last word would have been child. So It says that they don't develop social skills. There's a chance that, could we have that question pop up one more time? One more time. Yes, no, maybe. No. The question, where'd it go? Where'd the question go? Come on now. We got our people in the back. Come on, people in the back. Get it together, people in the back. Come on, people in the back. Oh, the people in the back. I think they're distracted. I think the Vaseline question had them distracted. Okay, so I'm gonna read the question on my little lovely device. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. I think the people in the back got it together. It's okay. Okay, so it says that students that are homeschooled do not develop social skills, strong social skills. So if you had a chance that your child would do better academically, would you take the risk of having a child that was socially awkward? So we're going to start with Mrs. M3. We'll go to Queen Dom, see if she's available. Then we'll go to Miss Danielle. We'll go to Show. We'll go to Queen, and then we'll go to Kris. All righty. Mrs. M3, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are children can be socially awkward even if they go to public school. So I kind of disagree with that. Children that are homeschooled have opportunities to meet with kids, play with kids. I think that question may come from the myth that homeschool is only in the house, kind of like shelter in place, which isn't true. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mrs. M3. All righty, Queen Dom, are you there?
Yes, I'm back. I was on my
Yay.
old laptop. I need to switch to my Mac. This is why I always say Apple is the best. I'm just saying that. But
Awesome.
I think that I don't think that I would worry about my kids being socially awkward. So I don't think that I would have to worry about that. Like I said, me and Ali were talking about homeschooling kids, and I was like, a lot of my siblings, my younger ones, most of their friends come from like their gymnastics class, their soccer, like, in the summer, their soccer team. Like that's where they hang out with those friends the most, because after school, like they're strict, like they have a strict TV time rule, they have a strict bedtime rule, a strict, so they don't have much time to hang out with friends outside of school. And then on the weekends, they're doing activities. So I don't think I would worry about my kid being socially awkward. I would just make sure that they are doing these things where they're always around kids, that they're always around family, so they're around kids, so that, you just got to make sure that they have that time with other people. But yeah, and then I don't think that would be an issue. So if homeschooling is going to be what's best for them and you can do it, then just go ahead and do it. Just know that there are other things that you have to add to it to make it work.
Awesome. Thank you, Queen Dom. All righty, Danielle, what are your thoughts?
I would prefer to have an intelligent, socially awkward child than a child that can get along with everyone but can't read.
Interesting. Okay. All righty. Thank you, Danielle. She said she was straight to the point. I heard that. All righty. Show, what are your thoughts?
Yes. I actually experience students that are more socially active or awkward by going to school due to bullying and so on. And I do understand that some children need to be socialized, and because we're training them to be functional, successful adults. But I think I gotta push back on the notion of, they'll be socially awkward so they can't be homeschooled. Because kids make friends at Chuck E. Cheese or at the park, or you know what I'm saying, that they're fine. They'll be socialized in some other ways. And again, if we're working with that 6-month window of educating and we're compartmentalizing that, then that's further even compartmentalizing their friends, saying, oh, well, you can only make friends at school then. You know what I'm saying? So
Interesting. Thank you, Show. All right, I'm going to read these comments before I get to Queen. So Atlanta Thrasher said delayed magic. Yes, it was delayed magic. And my fingers was trying to do some magic, but there was a bit of a delay. I don't know. I think my feelings was kind of hurt a little bit. But Gator Girl says see? Okay. So Gator Girl says it's interesting because defunded school program, attack on free lunches, critical race theory, misinformation, low wages for teachers, and parents mad at masks. Interesting. And WT Fund says, thank you so much for discussing. Anytime. Yes. If anybody has a topic they think would be interested to discuss, please feel free to let us know. You never know. We might discuss your topic. You never know. WT Funk says, oh, we already read the one about Germany. COVID seems to only kill those who are out of shape. So do your burpees and jumping jacks to keep your lungs and cardio right. I might do some working out, but I ain't doing no damn burpees like that. That's just not gonna happen. I might do one or two, but that's as much as we gonna get. So that's not happening. So Mr. Hall of Fame says they need to mandate you being able to whoop someone's candy ass. Absolutely. I'm sorry. I absolutely agree with that, Mr. Hall of Fame. Yes. Yes. And WT Funk says Hall of Fame facts. Yes. They need to make it, they can, yes, definitely mandate you being able to discipline the way you want to discipline. So yes. And there is a difference between discipline and abuse. Just want to put that out there. There is a difference. But yes. So anywho, all right, we're gonna get to Queen. So Queen, what are your thoughts as far as would you be willing to risk having a socially awkward child if they would be academically strong by homeschooling?
No, because I think no kid of mine would ever be socially awkward because I got too many siblings and nieces and nephews and great nieces and nephews for them to be around. So yeah. No, I think intelligence, education is first.
Thank you. Thank you, Queen. All righty. And Kris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I agree with pretty much everyone on the panel. I actually wrote this question because a lot of the people in my family can be against homeschooling because they're afraid of their kids not being popular and not, making certain types of friends, not just friends, but certain types of friends that they think they can only meet in the school. And they are afraid of their kid being considered a nerd or a dork and not having friends. And so I hear this argument all the time. I would much rather prefer my child to be intelligent and ahead academically, even if it means risking them being socially awkward. But then also, I don't like that this is kind of a bad faith argument for a lot of parents where they completely avoid the idea of homeschooling because they think that this could happen and that they don't have any control over their child's social skills. Like everyone said, you can take your child to gymnastics, you can take them and have them participate in so many of these activities. They don't have to just be isolated. But so many parents have, they rolled this out before they even tried it or considered different ways that they can approach this. And so, yeah, I would definitely take the risk. I think academics is very, very important, especially looking at a global scale. But I do think that this myth needs to be broken because it's a very unfair and incorrect way to look at this.
Thank you, Kris. So I'm gonna read these comments real quick before I give my response to the question. So Gator Girl says, if a child is homeschooled, if we can go back, there we go. I think they should be involved in some type of extracurricular activity to get exposure and socialization with other children. And WT Funk says, homeschooling can involve other kids easily. Absolutely. And Atlanta Thrashers 100% agree. Jeanette Jones says, my BFFs both homeschooled their 2 kids each, and they engage with other homeschoolers and homeschool-based programs. Thank you for that. Atlanta Thrasher says, I'll tell my boy that friends are nice to have, but you're there to get educated. If we want to socialize, we'll go visit Granny and her dog. LOL. And says, oh, wait. Okay, there we go. So Atlanta Thrasher says, it's not that bad though. LOL. Jeanette Jones says, not saying homeschool creates social awkwardness, but let's consider, would your child resent you for choosing their social awkwardness? LOL, interesting. And DJ the King is turning in. DJ the King. He says, like and subscribe. Chap. All righty, nice. And Larry says, I do burpees after I eat one of those big burritos. You probably do more than me. I'm telling you, 2 is my limit. I ain't doing more than 2. And then, okay, so and then Atlanta Thrush says, who needs popularity when you get a paycheck from a career you choose? Hall of Fame says, if y'all ladies were able to be a man for a day, who would y'all fight? And Atlanta Thrush says, Granny and her dog need socializing too. LOL, I heard that. And Lantern says 2 burritos, question mark, me too. Alrighty, so my thought is, if a child's going to be socially awkward, it doesn't matter whether they're homeschooled or in school. I mean, just because a child goes to public school doesn't mean they're not still going to be socially awkward. And just because they're homeschooled doesn't mean that they won't still be socially awkward being homeschooled. I mean, and I know as far as homeschool, they have it where kids can go to social events and things with other kids so they can get the socialization aspect. So they're not, like Mrs. M3 said, they're not completely isolated to where they're just at home, they never go anywhere. Like, I don't think that's not how homeschooling works. I mean, I think that's the misinformation that people have, is they think that that's what it is, and that's just not the case. You know, I think that if they're going to be socially awkward, then they'll be that either homeschool or in public school. I mean, I wouldn't, but that's the thing, is I wouldn't choose homeschooling for that because they're going to be academically stronger. If I picked homeschooling, when it comes to any decision I make, there's so many different things that come into that final decision. So, so for me and my child, it has to be an all around benefit rather than just they're going to be academically stronger. But I mean, that is a good, it is a good thought of them being academically stronger, but just because you're academically strong doesn't mean you're going to be strong in other areas. We're not necessarily talking about socially awkward, but I mean, there are certain things you can learn with your child going to public school, and it's not necessarily about, you know, just interacting with students. So, I mean, but I do think as a parent, there's certain things you need to be teaching your child anyway. So yeah. Mrs. M3, you wanted to say something, and after you said what you said, I'm going to read the comment from Gator Girl, because Gator Girl had something to say.
Let Gator Girl go ahead. Sorry. Read her
okay.
comment. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. Gator Girl says, well, I can say this. I've never heard of a homeschool shooting. Just saying. Very interesting. And I will say, as a teacher, and I was telling my kids the other day, like when I was in school, we didn't have like lockdown drills. We didn't do that. When I was in school, we did fire drills because we're in California. We did earthquake drills. Right. That was the extent of our drill. Like, and I told the kids, like, we didn't do lockdown drills. I said, now we have to do that because you got kids, possibly these socially awkward kids that are getting bullied, that are doing these things. And it's just scary. It's just scary. I mean, yeah, I mean, I even hate the fact that we have a discussion. I get irritated when we talk about, you know, these codes that we have to use and all these different things we have to do. I mean, I get bothered because it's scary to know that at some point you may have a kid who decides to, you know, they've had enough and they decide they want to do stuff. And that's why I tell the kids, like, they get upset because I say you can't have your phone. I said, but if somebody comes into school to start shooting, they're not going in a classroom, there's nobody there. They hear a phone, they know there's people in there. So they're going to try to get in there. So it's just crazy. It's just crazy. So, but anywho, this whole thing says, bear costume coming soon. We might make t-shirts for that. And I'm a German Shepherd. Keep stepping t-shirts too. All righty. Okay, Mrs. M3, go ahead.
Two things from your comment just now. First thing is, my thought when we're doing trainings like that and the kids, you know, if they decide to do that at some point in the school year, they're doing the same training that everybody else is doing. So that's the one part. So effective, maybe, for a student that like skipped school a lot and wasn't there on the day that there was training, because the one that was there knows. The second, the fact that a child that's homeschooled until they're become an adult, if they, you know, go out into the workforce and have that, all of the way that we do education and how it's sectioned off, and the years are, you know, 8th graders with 8th graders. We watched this video, informative, as we were getting ready for this. I watched as we were getting ready for this this live, doing my homework, just realizing the fact that, you know, it's true that school is the only time in our lives where we're actually herded together with the people of the same age. Even in our household, unless we're twins, there's no one our same age. So that's kind of a forced social learned situation. Once you get into the workforce, your boss, your coworkers, your ages are mixed up. So to think, just because it's a public school, you won't be socially awkward is not necessarily the case, because taking yourself out of that equation, out of that situation, there's nowhere else in your lifetime except for college, grade school, where you're going to be around people of the same age. If you get to grad school, you're going to have people that are in their 70s, 40s coming back to school. It's only in grade school that you even have that kind of socialization where you're all the same age. So I just want to put that out there for people to think about.
Thank you, Mrs. M3. All righty, does anybody have anything else they want to add before we go on to our next question, number 5? I didn't forget anybody, did I? Did I ask everybody? I think I did. I think I asked everybody. Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to get to question number 5. Let's see if the people in the background have got the yes, congrats, yes, the background, yes. Okay, what are the benefits and the drawbacks to homeschooling? This one will be very interesting. We're going to start with Queen Dom, then we're going to go to Queen Dom, Mrs. M3, Queen, Danielle, Show, and Kris. Alrighty, Queen Dom, what are your thoughts? Queen Dom, you there?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was trying to unmute myself.
No problem, girl.
You
No
hear me now?
problem.
Okay.
Yes.
What was the question again? Sabrina, I'm gonna call you back.
Yes.
What is this question?
So what are the benefits and drawbacks to homeschooling?
Benefits and drawbacks to homeschooling? I would say it depends on the kid and the individual, and like the parent and like their lifestyle. I think that benefits to homeschooling, there are like tons of benefits. One, your child, is gonna get that one-on-one personal learning, since they are at home. There are amazing teachers. I'm not taking that away from them, but it's a difference when you're at home with your parent who cares a little bit more, like who you came out of them. So it's like you get a little more of that like love. But then it's a drawback if you have a parent who's not very motherly and loving and who's like a drill sergeant, then that's kind of a drawback. So I think it just depends on the person, really. If you don't have the time, or don't have the mindset to do the things to make your kids social, then that's a drawback. But if you have the mindset, like I think most of us have explained, that, listen, there are 1,000 ways to figure it out, then there are no drawbacks. So I think it just depends on the parent. That's the drawback, the parent. That would be a drawback. And the benefit would be the type of parent they decide they want to be, I guess.
Interesting. Thank you, Kris. So after everybody responds, we're going to respond to Mr. Hall of Fame's question. He said, NBA season starts Tuesday. Who y'all got? So that gives everybody a time to think about who they got for the NBA season. Mrs. M3, what do you think are the drawbacks and the benefits of homeschooling?
I think every parent should weigh and consider their abilities and timing. If you're going to homeschool, the drawback, if there are certain subjects that you're not good at, being able to find a community where you can swap off things with parents. So you're good at math, they're good at art, you hate art. Find a parent in the community that's also homeschooling, share that connection, because it's a drawback if that's a subject that you are required to teach, because even homeschool has its mandates, things that have to be taught for it to be accredited. And if you can't teach that, you don't know how to do it, then that can set you back, and it can also cause your children to lose the accreditation for the homeschool that you have. The other, public school is an easy, here, watch my kid for 8 hours kind of thing. But if you're not involved with your child's academically, doing that partner share with the teachers that we talked about at the beginning of this stream, it's not to a benefit of your child necessarily. When they come home, they say, hey, Mom, I don't understand this work, or Dad, I don't understand, or parents, this generation has lots of different family dynamics. I don't understand this work, and, I have to get this turned in, I have to do whatever. It's public school, but you also have that onus as a parent to help your child to understand. If you can't teach them, there's tutors, there's after school programs, there's our school, we have what's called access. We have 80 minutes a week dedicated to students being able to talk to the teacher where they need the most help, get that help. And if that doesn't exist at your school, that's a place or thing that you've got to find. The other drawback to that might be finances. You have to find something that's free, and it may be time consuming. Putting that time into your child's, whether it's homeschool or public school, either way, kids need their parents. So, yeah, I agree with Don. The drawback with the parents, if anything, you gotta know what your kid needs.
Thank you, Ms. M3. So I think I said Queen and then Danielle. So we're gonna go with Queen and then we'll go with Danielle. Alrighty, Queen, what are your thoughts as far as the benefits and drawbacks?
I think the benefits is, one-on-one or more intention for the kid, especially if they may not be a quick learner like other people. I think the drawbacks is not necessarily the parents. I think it's their economic state and whether they can afford to homeschool the kid. Like I said before, I looked at some of the statistics, out of like 1 million kids or something that's being homeschooled, only 1.9% is Black. And a lot of it, and most of it is Caucasian Americans, because they can afford to, they may have their own business, or they can afford to be a mom that stays at home. So I think the drawback is not necessarily just the parents. I think it's just where they're at financially, and if they have other kids, and if they're a single parent, so yeah.
Thank you, Queen. Alrighty, Danielle, what are your thoughts?
So to me, a benefit would be, since you've had this kid since birth, or could possibly know their learning style. So that would benefit them in learning, because you will be able to present the information to them and get the highest efficacy. A drawback would be, does that parent actually know what they're teaching? Like, are they educated themselves? Like, do they know proper punctuation? Another one is patience. Like, I considered homeschooling my children, but I quickly learned that I'm not patient enough to teach my own child. I'm not a teacher. I did not go to school to be a teacher. As a nurse, I'm a teacher, but I'm teaching adults about medicine. It's not very hard. But to teach my child who has no grasp of anything how to read or how to write, that takes a lot of patience, and I don't have it. As much intelligence or education as I have, that's not something that I'm strong in. A benefit will be also the control in what they learn. I know they might have like a certain curriculum that they want them to learn, but it could be up to you, the emphasis that you put on things. Like when my son comes home and tell me that he learned about Christopher Columbus, I then have to educate him on what I feel about Christopher Columbus and what they may not be telling him in that school. Another thing is like, the time. I have a cousin that does homeschool, and I don't think that they actually go to school for the whole 8 hours. It's like you just give them a quick little spurts of it. So, I mean, perhaps that will be better, because you're just giving them the quick spurts where they're learning more because they're more engaged instead of drawing it out so long. But do the parents, like they said, have the time to actually do that? Because if you have multiple kids, that is a lot to have to come up with lesson plans for each kid, teach each kid, go back and check it. Like, it's a lot. So, like, do the parents have the time to do that?
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you very much. All righty. Sho, what are your thoughts as far as the benefits and the drawbacks to homeschooling?
Benefits and drawbacks. I agree with the sister from my sister's keeper about a lot of the benefits. I think also like it's individualized more. I guess at home, because of course it's not a one size fit all thing. But I would say that actually on both sides is that it's not a one size fit all thing. Like not all of homeschooling will fit every child, and not all of public education will fit every child in the ways that it is known to be. So I think in that aspect for sure. I think also a benefit could be, in terms of the acceleration of learning, like now this parent can learn that their child's reading level is at a certain level, or can now, firsthand know where their math level is, as opposed to, a teacher telling them and them saying, no, my kid could read and he's excellent, and, and that kind of thing. And they are beautiful excellence, right? So, I think also, like the sister said, like she's a teacher in the respect of being a nurse, however, for her own, and that just says like, yes, she needs a break from her beautiful lovelies, right? And your beautiful lovelies could use a break from you too, right? So I think the mistake that can be made in either of them is that there's a one size fit all educational type of process for everyone. And that's just overall proven to be false.
Thank you, Sho. Thank you very much. All righty, and Kris, what are your thoughts?
I agree with everyone's benefits. When it comes to the drawbacks, one concern and one thing to consider are overprotective parents, parents who are homeschooling just because they kind of want more control over their kids. That can have major effects on the child later on, because at that point you're not prioritizing their education. You're more so prioritizing yourself and what you want them to do and how you want them to do it. Another thing that I think that you kind of have to consider before choosing to homeschool your kid is separation time, is what you call it when they're infants. But there's something that people do when they have babies, and what they'll do is they'll put their baby in a happy state, like fed, changed. They'll let their baby have free play, or what's called separation time, and this just allows your child to kind of be more independent and understand that you're not always going to be there, and that they're fine, that they're safe. If you're homeschooling and you're not putting your kids in other activities, they might have some issues with other forms of authority outside of just their parents. And so when they do enter the world, they might struggle with bosses and maintaining certain jobs because they don't understand that they're supposed to be able to work with other people outside of just the people in their family. Of course, there are ways to mitigate that, but I think those are things to consider.
Awesome. Thank you, Kris. So before I give my feedback, I'm going to read the comments that have been coming in. Let's see. As soon as they pop up, I can address them, but then I pop it up right away. Oh, there they go. Okay, so Larry Thrasher says he flips the table. I think that's when we're talking about the whole discipline thing. Said, just kidding, JK, just kidding. WT Funk says, yes, social awkward come from school too, and trauma for being in a school trumps trauma from homeschooling. Interesting. And Gator Girl says, at Hall of Fame 23, 100. And WT Funk says, facts, 100. Gator Girl says, if a child is homeschooled, I think they should be involved in some type of extracurricular activity and get exposure and socialization with other children. And W. Funk says homeschooling can involve other kids easily. I think we actually read that one already. Yes, we're just going through the comments. And there we go. Keep it going. Okay, so, all righty, says, are we going to slow it down? Are we slowing it down? Okay, so yeah, so we're going to get to that question in a second. There we go. So Gator Girl says something. There we go. Goodness, the people in the back got to get themselves together. My goodness. Okay, so Gator Girl says, at Hall of Fame 23, Lakers are faves, but chemistry is going to take a while. Bucks are ECF bound, Warriors are a sleeper, and Bulls will surprise people. And then Atlanta Thatcher says patience was hard to learn. Yes. And the hard was in capital letters. So you know it was very hard. Gator Girl says, that's real, Danielle. Atlanta Thatcher says, yeah, you can't sugarcoat history. Absolutely. DJ Eddie King says, wow. Salute my sister's keeper for keeping it all the way real. And Black Soul, I need that shirt. LOL. So yeah, I think he needs that shirt. So you can let us know where you got that shirt in a little bit. Show. And then Atlanta says a benefit for us was cross-learning topics, like how math and music are connected and how scientific discoveries push the path of history. Interesting. And MarioMarion says the chat is lit. Well, that's good to know. We love it when the chat is lit. Okay, so I do agree with a lot of what was said. Danielle, I like what you said as far as a parent knows their child's learning style. So you know the best way that your child can learn, whereas a teacher has to learn that child to know that. And sorry to say, but some teachers do not understand that, like Show said, that it's not a one size fits all. And some teachers have a hard time with that. I feel that when a teacher absolutely loves a subject so much and they get into teaching, like if a teacher absolutely loves math and, oh my gosh, I'm going to teach math because I absolutely love it. If you never struggled in it, you may have a hard time understanding when one of your students is struggling. So if you're teaching it one way and the student's not getting it, you might find it hard to figure out why or find a way that works. And it might be, I was able to do this, how come they can't? But every child is different. That's what the whole differentiation is about. So you have to find a way that works. But a parent knows their child. So, and then sadly, there are some parents that don't. That's why you have some parents that when they found out their child has a hard time reading, they're shocked. Like, oh my gosh, really? So it's very interesting. Also, as far as the drawbacks, I definitely think patience, even though you have kids, being a teacher takes a lot of patience because as a mom, you know your kids and you can deal with your kids in certain ways. Teachers cannot. And we have so many different students, so many different personalities that we're dealing with that our patience is it has to be so high. I mean, there's some teachers who they've gotten to their limit. And to be honest, there's some teachers that need to get out the teaching field because we can tell that you had enough and you need to retire because it's just not your field anymore. But patience is something, and it's funny because when people find out I teach with kids, they're like, oh, I could never do that. I don't have enough patience. And you're right, because you got to have a lot of patience to teach kids, especially some of these kids that's disrespectful, got all kinds of behavior issues. I mean, it takes a lot to hold it in and talk to them at a quiet, nice, firm tone and still get your point across. Because there's some teachers that they just can't. That's why you have some teachers that leave. But I do think that what they should do when they're doing student teaching is they should put a teacher in a class of real students. Don't put them in a class of students where all the kids is listening and behaving and doing all their work. You need to put them in a class with some kids that can show them what it's really like to be in a classroom. Like you might not be in a class where all the kids are doing what they're supposed to, doing all their work, not yelling out, not like you might not have a class like that. And you need to know what it's really like when you get in the classroom. So, I mean, these kids will treat you like they do a substitute. When you're a new teacher, they're going to treat you like that. So that's why you have some teachers that get in the profession, they're just kind of thrown back. But also the education is a big drawback because if the parent is not educated in certain things, then they're going to have a hard time educating their child. So I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with those things. So, but I do think, if a parent chooses homeschooling, do your research and make sure that you've done all your research to know if that's truly going to be a good fit for them, because it's not a good fit for everybody. And it shouldn't just be because, maybe it shouldn't just be because your child doesn't like the teacher, your child doesn't like the school. It should be more than that as a reasoning. But anyway, back to that NBA question. I'm not really big on basketball, to be perfectly honest. If I'm dating somebody who watches basketball, oh, I'm all for it. I'm into the game. I'm all into it. Whatever his team is, I'm rocking with his team. But if I'm not dating somebody who's into basketball, I don't really watch too much. Football, on the other hand, oh, I'll be into football. I will watch it. I'll be into it. I'm screaming at the TV. I'm probably throwing stuff at the TV. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. But basketball, not really my thing. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think the Warriors are pretty good. So, I mean, that's my thought. But the season I watched them, Stephen Curry wasn't really doing that great. So when I was watching it, I didn't really think I was wondering what the hype was about because he was not doing great at all. So yeah, that was my thought. But anyway, so that's me. So we'll go around and see who everybody picked. So Kris, NBA, who you got?
No
If
one.
you watch.
I don't watch. We watch soccer in this house, so we're rooting for Inter Milan of
There we
Italy.
go.
But I don't know. Someone said something about ECF.
Mhm.
I think there's an echo. Sorry, I think it's probably gone now. But I have no idea what the ECF is. Yeah, so soccer in this house.
My thinking is Eastern Conference Finals. That's my thinking is what it could be, possibly, maybe. I don't know. So, and MarioMarion says, just say Jamal Washington, Kris, LOL. Atlanta for Ash says, I can't say much. My name is after a hockey team. There you go. And Jeanette Jones says, good night, ladies. This was great. It's nice to have a community where we can bounce our knowledge off one another. Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like the video and definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thank you for your comments and for you tuning in. All righty. So, who do you have for the NBA? If you watch, who you got?
Oh, I'm avid when it comes to hoop, for sure, no doubt. I'm a Cali cat, so I got, the West Coast all day. That come from the Bay all the way to LA. So we got Dub Nation, and I hate to say it, but I think the Lakers got a chance this year. But don't sleep, because I think Charlotte and LaMelo are gonna come through in ways that people are gonna be shocked about. Like I'm just saying, that's just my little 2 cents, because But yeah, I love hoop. That's me. Like football, okay. I'm not a fan of. In terms of like, I don't know, like it's mixed for me, but ever since that knee situation with Kaepernick, I kind of just, kind of backed up off the little NFL thing, but hoop is solid, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm Dub Nation for the record, but a close runner up. I'm gonna have to say the Lakers. I'm gonna have to because of the squad they got. I'm gonna have to. And then, like I said, don't sleep on Charlotte and LaMelo Ball with what they got going on, because he's throwing dimes and quarters and all kind of stuff.
Interesting. Okay. What about you, Queen? Who you got for NBA? You there, Queen? Yes, no. Okay, we'll come back to you, Queen. Oh, there you are.
Hey, no, I couldn't unmute myself. My New York teams ain't looking too good, so I'm gonna have to go with the Lakers because we Braun fans here, so we got Braun all day, every day. So there you go.
Nice. All righty, thank you. Queen Dom, who you got for the NBA? If you watch, who do you got?
So I'm a little bit like you and Kris, Tammy. I only vote for teams when I'm dating someone, and that's the team. And my boyfriend watches soccer, so we watch soccer in this house all day, every day. So I wouldn't know, but I would say I wouldn't be mad. I don't even know. They probably won't make it to the playoffs, so don't laugh at me, Queen. Don't laugh at me. But I wouldn't be mad if the New York Knicks win. I know they suck, but I love them. It's not my fault.
The Brooklyn Nets got a better chance than the Knicks.
Yeah.
Brooklyn. I gotta go with the New York Knicks.
Nah. Orange and blue ain't getting it this year. They good.
Listen.
They good.
My orange and my blue.
They're another Raiders group.
That's hilarious. All righty, so we got a couple comments before I get to Miss Danielle. Yolanda Thrasher says soccer, aka foot hockey. Interesting, interesting. All righty, and then Danielle, NBA, who you got if you watch?
I don't watch that.
She said, I don't watch that. I gotta say, I heard that. All righty, Mrs. M3, if you watch the NBA, who you got?
I don't. I watch Smash Bros. All day, every day.
There you go.
Esports,
All
baby.
righty. You know, it's interesting because I think if I ever decided to watch basketball, I'd probably watch college ball. I know, I feel like college sports, they're a little bit more motivated. Even with football, I feel like just college sports, there's a little bit more motivation because they're trying to get to the pros. So they really got to show what their skills are. So yeah, so MarioMarion says Danielle only watches Love and Hip Hop. Interesting, interesting. All righty. So that was our last question, you guys. Before we go, Show, I've heard that you are a spoken word person like myself. So did you have a piece of spoken word that you wanted to do on Ladies?
Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna hand it over to you for you to do your spoken word.
I'm ready to do my thing. Okay, well, let me grab some water real quick so that my voice ain't ashy. What's up, y'all? I'm Miss Show King. That's MSSHO, capital K to the ING. And I have my beautiful, lovely assistant here. Her name is Lady Moses. So y'all give it up for the mother drum, Lady Moses, straight from West Africa. Okay, and this piece it's called The Payback. Yeah, it's called The Payback. What else can I say? Yeah, I'm trying to position myself on the table. Okay. Look, real talk, they might want to fall back because I don't even rap. I call this The Payback. I can't miss this. Future needs me on this path. I'm a real MC and I ain't cutting no slack. Cause I'm having flashbacks on oppressive setbacks. These socio-economical cutbacks. If you don't believe me, it's on the World Almanac. We are under attack. Red, yellow, brown, black. So play this in your system. This is where the truth is at. And this, that, when you start over. So play this in your system. This is where the truth is at. We dealing with some racist hype hypochondriacs. The feds can't find me needle in the haystack. I'm on the underground. Y'all can cop my paper back. I'll tell you how it is. And that is just that. And I accomplished my dreams after all of that. Because first they came here, they stole the natives' land, and then they built all they wealth from the backs of the Africans. This corrupt institution hand wrote the Constitution. What did the Gil Scott say? I'm ready for revolution. From the Dred Scott case to Emmett Till, Genesis, to who really shot Tupac, Malcolm, Martin, Big, and Nip. I see them trying to profit when they can't stop it. They want to sweatshop it. I'm trying to rooftop this. They got roadblocks in our way. We see it every single day. We need a nonstop movement, much more than just some improvements for all of God's people and not just the top 1%. Because I'm doing the math and it ain't making no sense. I'm doing the math and it ain't making no sense. And I keep doing that math, it still ain't making no sense. Because see, first they want to hug me, then they want to judge me, increase your bottom line. Now you're telling me you love me, made it your jurisdiction. That's my greatest competition. The jury and I, we never share the same diction. Frivolous tickets, any city limits, no summer programs, the same places for us to kick it. Hollywood want to make me, just so they can break me. They want to study me and they don't even want to face me. This is for the struggle. This is for the hustle. This is for your struggle. This is for your hustle. This is for our struggle. This is for our hustle. I'm closer to my dream, reaching it on the devil like a whopper, they say. From the Bay to LA, I'm closer to my dream. I'm doing it God's way. I'm closer to my dream. I'm doing it God's way. Closer to my dream. I'm doing it God's way. Sing it, y'all. Closer to my dream. Yo, closer to my dream. I'm doing it God's way. Closer to my dream. I'm doing it God's way. I'm closer to my dream. Peace, y'all. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Hold on. I got to do the sound effect. Hold on.
One in a million, girl.
They call me the poet cussionist. That's P-O-E-T, cussionist.
I just want to say, my boyfriend just got on and like he's trying to write you a comment. He's never on the stream. I was like, he said, so he's from West Africa. He's like, babe, I'm connected right now. Everything. He said, also he's listening through the phone because he's driving.
That's right.
Nice. That's awesome.
Lady,
that was
freeing people.
Mr. Hall of Fame says that was fire. And I think Atlanta Thrasher said fantastic. I think that's what he said. Yeah, fantastic with an exclamation point. Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much for that. So before we go, we're gonna have everybody shout out their social media, and then we are gonna all say good night. So we're gonna start with Kris. Go ahead, Kris.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. This show was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Thanks, What the Funk Is This, for recommending this topic. I thought it was really good conversation. But you guys can follow me on Instagram at The Blooming Ebony and also on YouTube at The Blooming Ebony. I'm actually going live in about 40 minutes for an after hours of this show, conversation or cocktails and conversations. We're talking about alphas and betas from a woman's perspective. So you want to come find out if you've ever been beta, friend zone, come check it out. Come have a conversation and make sure you have a drink. Not a drink, a drink. It's going down, y'all. Good night.
Thank you, Kris. I told y'all it was going to be good. I told y'all it was going to be a good one. You're going to want to definitely tune in to what Kris is doing. And then allow Naba. I think it says, OMG, I'm having all kinds of feelings. You killed it.
Yes, that's Alalay Niaga. That's Bay, Tammy. That's
Alalay. Oh, that's Bay. Hey, Day. All righty. And Gator Girl says, great live! Exclamation point. Thank you for the comments, you guys. All righty. We're going to go ahead and go to Mrs. M3 next.
Hey, y'all. It's me, Mrs. M3. Y'all can catch me here every Saturday, 5:30. And of course, please like, subscribe, and comment. We enjoy your comments, and we thank you for being here 3 days a week, Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, 5:30 Pacific time. See y'all.
Thank you, Mrs. M3. All righty, we are going to Miss Danielle, otherwise known as my sister's keeper. My sister's keeper, are you there? Okay, so maybe we'll come back to her. If you come back, Danielle, please definitely let us know. We want you to be able to shout your social media out. We'll go ahead and go to Queen. Go ahead, Queen.
Hi, you can reach me at Queen Forever 2K21 on Instagram. You can pop in and see me on the Knowledge and Relationships platforms throughout the week. I pop in, I ask my questions, and I get out. Or you can tune in to the next lady stream on Saturday.
Thank you, Queen. All righty. My sister's keeper, are you there? Okay, so we'll come back. We'll keep checking in before we say goodbye. Gator Girl says, Mrs. M3, love your braids. Just got some boxes for the first time. What do you use to moisturize?
Thank you so much. It's a work in progress. You just have to know what works for your hair type. My texture is soft and coily, but it's if I don't moisturize it, it gets tight and coily, if you know what I'm talking about. So you just have to work with what goes for your hair and just try it and then be consistent.
Thank you, Mrs. M3. Okay, we're going to go to the Queen Dom.
Hi. Oh, I'm conditioning my hair, but hi. So I'm the assistant network manager for Knowledge and Relationships. My Instagram is thequeen_dom, and I'm here on the ladies' night every Saturday. And everyone have a good night.
All righty, thank you, Queen Dom. All righty. And then Nazma said, oh, now you want to cam up.
How crazy I looked just now, right? I couldn't do that the whole show.
She getting ready for her date night, so she got the excuse.
Wait, actually, I canceled that. I'm too tired, so you see my hair still getting conditioned. That's why Ali's on the phone. Yeah.
There we go. All righty, and then we have our lovely special guest show. And if you could also talk about the education project, I think it is you talked about, and you could also tell everybody about that and what that's about.
Yes, y'all. So I'm Miss Show King, and you can reach me on all platforms, on all of these platforms at Hope the number 4 Hip Hop and ED for Education. That's Hope the number 4 Hip Hop ED for Education. Miss Show King, that's MSSHOKING, MSSHOKING, as well as our media portal, which is Truth Media. Shout out to Sojourner Truth. That's spelled TRUTHE Media, TRUTHE Media. Now, the Hip Hop Project, let's get into it. I am a member of none other than the hip hop congregation as it pertains to the master teacher himself, KRS-One. And we are encouraged in our work to keep hip hop alive as a member of the Temple of Hip Hop. So my project has been teaching through the mediums of hip hop and through hip hop education. And so I have established numerous different projects within my community in order to teach those and teach, and that's hip hop for all ages, not just for kids or elementary and those kind of things, even adults as well. We've developed some games and some strategies, and we do it through music, not just old school or new school. We do it every kind of way. We teach life skills as well. We've also had coding classes and the like. Right now we're doing entrepreneurship to really show and tell all of the possibilities through hip hop that there are, looking at careers in hip hop, not just through music, but through lifestyle and culture as well. So that's who we are, Hope for Hip Hop. Hope the number 4 Hip Hop, that's education, ED for education as a project. So give thanks for this platform. Give thanks for you guys really providing such a platform with such great and high impacts. And we just give thanks for today and all that's been said and done.
Love you, Sister Soldier. Thank you for being on today.
Thank you. So Gator Girl said, oh, that's what's up, sis. Show who you got in the verses tomorrow?
Oh, KRS all day, because man, and I think it's really going to be excellent. It's going to be so black-excellent because I feel like it's going to show multi-generations as to there's no aging out of hip-hop. There's like a phenomenon of like, oh, okay, you too old for this or too old for that. When it's actually the bridge that bridges us all together, the tree that binds us all together. So I straight up got the master teacher KRS all day. And if you want a shirt, just DM me on one of those platforms and I get with you. I'm on Clubhouse, we on IG, we on Facebook, we everywhere you can find us.
Nice. Thank you very much. And MarioMarion says, thanks, Show, for coming to the panel. All righty, so Miss Danielle, my sister's keeper, go ahead and shout your stuff out, girl.
Hi, I'm sorry. I told you guys I was at work, so I couldn't get on the camera earlier. But my name is Danielle. You can find me on YouTube at My Sister's Keeper and on Instagram at Fly Nurse Mom Wife. And I really enjoyed this panel, and that poem was amazing. So thanks for having me.
All right, thank you. And then, of course, there is me. Spotlight. Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. All righty, so I am your host, First Lady Tammy. You can find me on Instagram at First Lady Tammy 916. You can also find me here on Saturdays. You can find me here on Mondays and Thursdays, giving my input. And you all know I always got a lot to say. Sometimes I try to tone it down, but depending on what it is, sometimes I just can't, tone it down. Sometimes I need to say everything I got to say. But if you're looking for me, you can find me that way. But yeah, definitely come back next Saturday for another great topic. And anybody who's watching, if you have an idea about a topic that you might be fun for us to discuss, definitely let us know. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure that you hit that like, that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to Knowledge and Relationships.
because it's amazing. Everything we do is amazing. And make sure you hit the notification bell so you get notified of everything that we are doing. All righty. Well, that is it for tonight. So definitely, as Bloom and Ebony says, she has an amazing live that she is doing and not that long from now. So you definitely want to tune into that because I know it's going to be good. I might need to have my drink and tune in too. So, but yeah, definitely tune into that. Definitely tune in to anybody else who was on the live. Thank you everybody for your comments. And I guess that's it for now. So on that note, we're going to say goodbye.
I look back, bless, give thanks.
Good night, everybody. Thank y'all. Bye. Thank you for watching.
DJ.